Typikon, A Revelation of Faith by author NIKOL SIMONNE. When everything seems to fall right in place, you're batting 1,000. Life is good.
Chapter 4.
A time to win. Okay, Frida, start from the beginning. If we're going to prosecute Damon for everything he did to you, you have to give us details. You said you'd never wear a yellow dress again. I get that. You're only 7, and it's a shame that you are pregnant. But sweetheart, we, Mr. Hansen and I, are on your side. We have to know what you know. Do you want Damon behind bars? It took time to think over the question. I was playing coy with these people. What this investigator hoe didn't know was I wanted Damon's bitch ass under the jail along with my mother. Since the day I wore that fucking yellow dress, I saw them as one. While this lady kept focusing on Damon, I was trying to think how I could get Damon, his father Lucius, and my mother. I needed them all to pay, not just Damon. Yes, I want him. The lady asking all those questions looked in my eyes. She gasped for a deep breath. She saw something in me that scared her. I remember her immediately clearing her throat and placing her hand across her chest. Mr. Hansen began speaking. Can you tell us, Frida? What exactly happened? Details, huh? Okay. All right. I rubbed my belly and rested my hands on the top of my baby bump. You want water? No, I'm good. All this shit, and I have to be the one explaining, remembering, looking at them looking at me. It felt like too much. It may have been easier if someone was there with me, but I had to face all of this alone. Damn. Frida's statement of abuse. I got out of the bubble bath. I smelled of bubble gum. I was so happy. I let out all the water and put soap on my rag and wiped out the tub just like at home. I remembered what Damon said. Put some Vaseline on your pussy. I stood on the toilet. I reached over to the medicine cabinet. I got the big jar of Vaseline out. I jumped down and scooped some of the Vaseline and put it all over my coochie. I went to grab my panties and Damon came busting in the bathroom out of nowhere. He was completely naked. He picked me up and carried me in a bedroom with green walls. There was a bed and all the covers were pulled back. There was a sheet just laid across the bed with garbage bags all over it. I was confused. Damon looked real hungry. He seemed anxious. He laid me on the bed and started playing with my coochie. He watched my eyes so carefully. He just kept staring into my face while placing his finger in and out. I was so confused. He told me to relax my thighs. I didn't know what that meant. He said, open wide and just relax. He kissed me all over my body. Then he went to where the Vaseline was and he kept breathing deep in and out while saying, relax. He began blowing on my coochie and whispering, relax, just relax, while massaging my chest. I began to feel calm. He then put 2 fingers inside me, 3 fingers, and then he was moving them all around, rubbing all over my coochie and going back in and out. He put his penis in me.
No.
It was just a little in me. He kept going in and out. He pushed down, and his penis went all the way in.
Ouch.
And I fainted. When I came to, his father Lucius was on top of me and he was pumping away. I don't want to keep talking. It's all right. You don't have to say any more. This is all enough to give Damon and Lucius a lot of time in prison. Okay. After the day I told all those investigators everything, they took me out of my mom's home and placed me with these white people. My baby died in my stomach. After about a year, I went back to live with my mom. Now, she and I were at odds because the day I tried to tell her what Damon was doing to me, she played me. I kept peeing on myself, and she found out. I was hiding the saturated clothes, but somehow she knew. When she confronted me, I told her in a low whisper that Damon was messing with me down there. She repeated it. Damon heard her, and he ran to me. He grabbed my hair and dragged me down the hall, kicked me in my stomach. He peed on me. He shitted on me and smashed it in my face. I heard him ask my mother, "You gonna believe this bitch over me?" Damon ended up with 7 years of jail time. He's still alive. I plan to kill him. I haven't had the chance. Lucius got away scot-free. He left and went to Mississippi with his wife Rosalind. I didn't tell right away. I was too scared. I used to hide behind my TV with a knife. I slept with a knife for about an hour, for maybe 5 months. I thought the knife would keep him away. He always ended up sneaking into my bed. When he came in my bed, he would touch me and rape me. I didn't enjoy it. I felt nasty. I felt violated, like he was inside my skin. I drank bleach to cleanse myself. The lining of my stomach had a hole in it, and I had to get laser surgery to close the hole. When I came back from those white people's house, I could tell my mother really missed me. I couldn't believe she was happy to see me. I did eventually stab Damon. Before I went to the foster home, about a month after my yellow dress was stained with ice cream, Damon started hiding under my bed. He whispered, "Little bitch, you put that pillow on my face. You tried to kill me." I didn't respond. I ran out the room. I went to hide behind the TV. I was always hiding from him. Sometimes I'd have my knife when he'd come where I was, and I would swing the knife to stab him. I even scratched his eyes, trying to snatch them out. Damon, he thought he was something. 6 foot, dark-skinned, slender, glasses, good hair, freckles. But I thought he was hideous, a real piece of shit. Later, years later, we found out Damon violated his son by another woman. The son was caught sticking air freshener pins up his own ass. The son began molesting his younger brother. He would shit and piss on himself. The son is gay now. I think back and I remember his son saying, when I was a little girl, going through all that with Damon, "You'll get used to it. Don't worry." Now he's dressing up in dresses. Many people say, I'm lucky I survived all that. It's funny. I don't feel like I survived, and I damn sure don't feel lucky. My relationships suffer. I called my last boyfriend a rapist. I have venom in my blood. At times, I feel really hateful. I think back, and childhood memories consist of times when my baby cousin was 1 year old, and she would call me mommy. I boiled water so she could get it. I put water on the table once it was boiled. She pulled on the tablecloth. I put something she wanted on the table and watched her grab at the hot water. I killed my brother's dog. He bit me for grabbing his tail, and I took him in the bathroom. I slammed a toilet seat on his head until he stopped moving, and the head fell in the toilet. It was so big, I left the head in the toilet. My mom found the dog, and she screamed, "What did you do?" She said they needed to switch my meds. She went on to say, "This motherfucker is killing dogs. I'm calling your doctor, you crazy little bitch." Whoever came across my path to hurt me, I hurt them. 15 years later. Yep, my mother took Damon back after he got out of jail. I was 15 then. He didn't bother me anymore. I was boxing. I was good too. My hands were registered. I could kick ass. It was my calling. My punches had so much power because of my anger. I'm still angry to this day. When I got pregnant at 16 by my boyfriend at the time, I was probably my happiest. I'll never forget. I almost had to kill over her. My sister had my daughter at my mother's house. Damon lived there. I didn't know. I pulled up around 11:30 p.m. I'm ringing the bell. I'm banging on the window. My sister finally opened the door. I looked in and saw Damon. My sister looked surprised to see me. I said, "Why you got my daughter here?" Before she could answer, I mugged her all up in her face. I gave my daughter an allowance of $10 at the age of 8. I felt that was adequate. Damon was trying to take it from her. When I walked in, she was crying. I asked her, "What's wrong? What happened?" She said Damon threw a container at her, called her all kinds of bitches. I lost it. He was sitting next to my mother. I walked up to him and punched that nigga all up in his face. He got up like he was gonna fight me. He told me my daughter was lying. My mom said, "Damon, you're wrong." Damon looked at me and said, "Bitch, you getting out of my house tonight." I said, "You gon' die tonight." He ran for a knife. I ran after him. I was on one side of the table. He was on the other side. I pushed the table in the corner with him behind the table. He dropped the knife. My daughter was crying, screaming, "Mommy, Mommy." I jumped on the table, pulled the knife out, and stabbed him. Put the knife up to his throat. I was just about to drag the knife. My daughter said, "Come on, Mommy. Come on." I told Damon, "My daughter saved you today." I laughed. I cried. I was shaking. I kept saying, "You gon' die by these hands." He tried to call the landlord, who was an ex-cop. My mother talked him out of pressing charges. I smiled at the blood, Damon's blood, everywhere. I got my daughter. I smacked the fuck out of my sister. I told her, "Bitch, don't play with me." She said, "Frida, I'm sorry. I didn't kill Damon, but I blacked both eyes." Comfort. Comfort from God is all the comfort we need. Love felt by the Creator quenches indeed. Obedience of heart, pure motive, righteous seed. A covenant servant is humble and begins to take heed. Satan comes to steal, kill, and destroy in spite of man's plea. But God surrenders everlasting life through the bread he feeds.